new Jennifer Lawrence movie, No Hard Feelings, was released
Yes.
this week. A raunchy rom-com that it certainly was. And did we enjoy this movie? Let's get into a review of No Hard Feelings. I suppose we're going to be talking about spoilers of this movie,
Yes.
even though, God, I mean, it's not something that you
That
really
you
have
kind
to.
of are worried about getting
No, it's
spoiled.
not something that you're worried about, is it really? But I suppose you have to say it. You have to say it, don't you? But No Hard Feelings. I would just like to say I really enjoyed this movie. I think this was a stressful movie as well, though. Much like I think Challengers is going to be.
Yeah, but in a different way, I guess.
In a different way. This was a little bit of, I suppose, a little bit of second-hand embarrassment stress,
Yeah.
but also just like people being so stupid stress of just, oh, for God's sake, stop actively hating yourself, everyone in this movie. You
Yeah.
know, it's like just have some sort of fun and spontaneity, please. Just
Yeah.
do things. This is what this movie is trying to teach you. Is trying to. The message of the movie is really to move on. I suppose is ultimately this message of the movie is open yourself up.
Yeah.
Don't get, you know, challenge yourself to be discomforted, and it will actually be beneficial for you as a person. You know, you can become too familiar and too safe and too comfortable in your own little world of
Yeah.
never doing anything and never going anywhere, which both of our main characters deal with in very different
Yeah.
ways.
And I like that kind of juxtaposition of the two of them seemingly being in the same situation, but just in different aspects of their
I mean,
lives.
wildly different aspects, given
Yeah.
the fact that, you know, our male lead, who I forget the name of the actor now, I've never ever seen him
No,
before.
I've never seen him. Andrew Barth Feldman as
Andrew
Percy.
Barth Feldman.
He was great.
What a Andrew Barth Feldman is what I'm going to call him. No, that's not what I'm going to call him. That would be
That's
insulting.
terrible. That's so mean. Especially after all the stuff you just talked about, how this poor guy went through in this
Yes,
movie.
he did. He went through a horrible situation, really.
Yeah, but then
He's got
even when
some
he's
serious
talking
issues.
yeah, but even when he's talking about being bullied in school and, kids making fun of him, and so him kind of having to leave and and
Yeah.
and this kind of setting up the trajectory of him really being this person of just not wanting to make friends and being very isolated and, um, all of that. So, yes,
I have a
no
lot of
more
sympathy
no
for
more bullying him.
no more bullying him. I have a lot of sympathy for him. I also have a lot of sympathy for Jennifer Lawrence's character, for Maddie in this
Yeah.
movie as well. I think the movie does a really good job of getting you to really endear yourself to both characters
Yeah.
in those similar ways. Even though they're obviously very different people, different even, I suppose, different generations, because that's the whole point of this movie
Yes, and the
is,
fact that she's, like, 32 and everyone's calling her somebody's mom and ma'am and
which
old
I
lady, and I'm
also
just
kind of hate. Why was all the young people in this movie so disgustingly horrible to
and even
people?
when she lies and she's like, "I'm 23." Damn, that's old. Like, "What?
It's
Excuse me?"
horrible. Makes me feel ancient.
Yeah.
It's
Mm.
really not nice.
Yeah, it's
But
really mean. It's really harsh.
isn't this just it speaks to the way I feel about 18-year-olds, I think,
Yeah.
which is just that they do all deserve to be backhanded across the face by Sidney Poitier, as far as I'm concerned. I would love to see that. Can we have that happen?
Right. Just have him
Members
come
of
in.
Sidney Poitier's family, his descendants, can Sidney Poitier the Younger, as Sidney Poitier called his daughter,
Yes. Can
Sidney
we use
Poitier.
CGI to just edit his likeness into films of him just slapping people when they get out of line.
No, I just want actual Sidney Poitier who's still with us, because that's his daughter's name,
Yeah.
to go around backhanding mouthy 18-year
Yes.
olds who call 23-year olds, "Damn, you old as hell." Shut up, creep. Hate this guy. He's not even in the
And
movie
also
reel.
just very much speaking to the culture in that same scene where she ends up going to this, um, young people's house party, and, these guys doing these videos, like, talking about bullying, and they ask her
Right.
to she's, like, in the background pumping the keg, and they, like, ask her to get out of their shot, and she, like, tells them to, like, "Fuck off," or something, and they're like, "See, that's bullying right there," and then they start, like, videotaping her.
And then everybody starts filming her.
Yes, and then, like, when the guy who says she's old for being 23 tries to hit on her, and she says something about, "Why don't you sleep with your friend over here?" And then, they take it as her making this homophobic joke, and so then everyone starts putting her on lives, talking about her being homophobic and, like, following her around and, like,
I actually think this is a
trying
genuine
to
problem.
essentially,
People
like,
do that.
cancel her immediately for this, like, really innocuous joke that she makes.
The thing is,
Yeah,
people do that. So
yeah,
it's humor like that that does work in the movie, because it is
yeah.
that kind of stressful, like, "Oh my god, this actually happens. Get out of there,
Get out of
please.
my
Just
face, yeah.
run out of that house now, please, Jennifer Lawrence." But
Yeah.
the movie is actually really quite sweet, because I think it obviously, the premise of it is that, I forget our male lead's name now as well. Andrew Barth Feldman, the character
Percy.
Percy.
Percy and Maddie.
His parents put an advertisement out there
Yeah,
of, "Do you need a car?" Of which Maddie, Jennifer Lawrence, needs a car. Her
yeah.
car's been towed. She hasn't paid property taxes. Things are getting
Yes, and she's an
repossessed
Uber driver, that's how she makes a lot of her money and how she could pay off the taxes.
because she lives in Montauk, which I think is it Long Island?
Yeah, I think so. So it's like a summer
Fancy,
town,
yeah,
so they
fancy
get a lot of
summertown
rich
surfing
people.
place.
Yeah, so they get a lot of rich people coming in to, stay, and so that's like her whole kind of stance. She just is annoyed with all the rich snobs coming in and taking over their town and all of that kind of
Yeah.
rhetoric. Yeah.
So there's this advertisement that's put out there. Of course, Percy's parents are some of these summer people who come for the summer and then leave and
Yeah.
don't really care about the place apart from that. Um, do you need a car? We'll give you a car if you date our son,
Yeah.
because our son's going to college and he's utterly useless, basically. And
Yes.
ultimately, he is. He doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
He sits inside and has no friends and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We come to learn there's an actual reason behind him doing that. His crippling past of bullying and just comfort of being alone.
Yeah. Just having that
You
be
know,
easier and
is what
making
he
yourself
needs.
invisible. Yeah.
Yeah, which are really actually powerful things to think about. I think it is a lot of the really effective emotional drama of the movie is in scenes where they're actually able to open up to each other, because of course it starts off far more kind of awkward, and it starts off more of a sex
Yeah.
comedy. She is obviously, really, the parents want him to express himself before
Yes.
going off to college.
Yeah.
So she doesn't necessarily, they don't necessarily want Jennifer Lawrence to date him. They want her to date him,
Yes.
which they make a
A
point
very
of
clear point to that,
saying.
yeah.
Which she's like, "Yep, okay, fair enough. I'll do this." So
Yeah.
it starts off very much as just kind of Jennifer Lawrence trying as best as she can.
To be attractive to this guy, ultimately to play it wrong where he thinks she's kidnapping him.
Yeah. But to
And then
trying to come onto him, to trying to do
yeah.
everything, and I'm sat there thinking, if I had Jennifer Lawrence in front of me now, I would not be behaving like this pathetic weasel of a child that's in front of me here. It was quite annoying, really. These were the stressful elements of the movie that I
Yeah.
was talking about before, because I've had a movie crush on Jennifer Lawrence for at least 10
I
years.
mean, fair, very fair.
Um, yeah. So
So, but yeah, I mean, obviously these moments where she's trying to like be enticing to him and him just kind of shrinking in on himself.
but I
Um
also get that. I also get that kind of mentality of
yeah,
going, "This is too much. I
I
don't
can't
like
handle. I
this."
don't know what to do. Like, and him just also just not knowing what to do.
No, he doesn't
Um,
have a clue what to do.
yes, but then in him at least agreeing to like strike up a friendship with her, and so then again she's being very aggressive in trying to make something happen, and he breaks out in hives, and it isn't until like she's sitting and not making fun of him or just like putting like the rash cream on him, and then that's when he opens up to her and he's telling her about the bullying and why he
Yeah.
kind of tries to be invisible to people, and they really have this connection moment. And I think that's when she steps back and starts seeing him as a person as opposed to, this person's going to get me a car or this thing that I have to do. And I think that's what actually kind of has her step back for a minute and see that there's something there with him as just like a genuine person. So that kind of
Yeah.
opens that friendship up really well. And then I love the kind of fun, silly day that they spend together. And then her being able to open up to him about, her father just being someone visiting for the summer who was there with his wife and kids and had an affair with her mom, and that's where she came from. And her writing him and him sending her letter back and just feeling
Yeah.
unwanted um, and then potentially kind of, I think Percy calls her out saying that and even her friends, I think, do too, kind of waiting around for this father who doesn't want her to come back and find her and apologize or something. And that's the main thing kind of keeping her there.
Yeah,
So the fact that she's
it's
able to open up to him like that, um, is really building this great friendship with them. And what happens in movies like this where somebody's doing something for selfish gain and then they start to kind of strip that aspect of what they're doing away and really start to bond with this person. So I loved seeing the build of their friendship
yeah.
and genuine care for each other. So I like that there was a good balance of kind of the raunchy comedy aspects and the actual heart of the movie.
Well, yeah, it's almost as though it's in two halves, really,
Yeah.
because the first half is very much that peaked as as we spoke about
Mhm.
before with this ridiculous stark naked wrestling fight scene on the beach when they go
Yeah, she she
skinny dipping.
forces Percy to go skinny dipping with her, and then some dumb kids come and steal their clothes, and she just
The thing
walks
is,
naked straight out of the ocean and starts beating the shit out of these
the
people butt naked.
determination of Jennifer Lawrence to just kind of charge up to these people, scream at them, no care in the world, and just
Yeah,
beat them all down,
yeah.
um,
To get
is
bare vagina punched, like, ooh.
I mean, yeah, that's gotta be nasty, right?
Yeah, yes.
To which
People
I
don't think
suppose the
that shit
reaction
hurts,
her
but it
reaction to
does.
that happening to her is quite
Yes.
it shows me how nasty that would be.
Yeah.
Actually, she makes quite a horrible noise after that happens. Um,
Yeah,
unpleasant. Don't do that to people.
yeah.
Don't do
But I
that.
like that, and I think she was probably I don't know if they did maybe, like, type of body double stuff or if it was actually all her or anything like that, but,
Well, she
I
she
would
has done nude scenes in the past.
yes. So, I mean, I would see her being okay with a scene like this because it's done not in a sexy way, it's definitely done in a fully comedic way. And
Yeah,
so
and
so
but
it
just
takes
just an out there way. I mean, she's
yes.
always come across as a person that is just willing to just say, "Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
I'll go
I'll
with it.
do it,
I'm
I'll go
fine
for
with
it,
doing
yeah.
that." She
Yes,
was
and
also a producer on this movie,
yeah.
so I think that doubly says to me that
That she was okay with whatever kind of, ideas that were thrown out there to do. Yeah,
yeah,
because I love the ways that she just charts up, like, buck naked and just does not care and beats the
does
crap
not
out of these
care. I
people.
love it.
Yeah, it's so fun. And yeah, that they took that sexuality out of her being naked and just made it
They
this
did.
comedic thing. And people, like, are seemingly talking about how they're so surprised that she has this comedic nature, but you've seen it in other things. Like, she definitely plays to that really well in stuff like, Silver Linings Playbook, and then
Yeah.
you just watch her in interviews and things like that, or her give speeches, and you see how silly she is.
Her as a
Uh,
person is very much this. It's why I really like her for this movie.
yeah,
Because she obviously had, suppose it, around 10 years ago, she won her Oscar. Um, she was the biggest female in movies, really, for that little bit of time.
yeah,
And then she just thought, I'm going to quieten down now.
yeah.
And she quietened down.
Yeah, she got
She's been away
married, she
for a
had a
bit. She
baby,
had,
yeah,
yeah, she had a kid, um, and settled a little bit. But she should be coming back being her natural, goofy yet sensitive self, which is what she is in
yeah,
this movie. I think these are perfect kind of movies for her because she had her, you know, time being the biggest thing.
yes.
I don't think she's got that mentality to always need to be that.
And be someone who does a lot of kind of drama and darker roles and things like that. So she,
Yeah.
to maybe lean into more comedies. So
I
because that
I
that
just
seems
really
more
like
akin to, like, who she is as a person. She seems like she
yeah.
has somebody who has a huge sense of humor, who's always joking and laughing and being silly and quippy and yeah,
But while being, this movie is that, but while having so much heart to it as well, so much genuine
yeah,
sweetness to it, like you say, it turns into a friendship movie, a very mutual
yeah,
friendship movie more than anything else, and a movie about kind of looking at yourself, looking at where you're at in your own life, and realizing the comfort blanket you have around yourself is
yeah,
actually damaging to you. It's
yeah,
it's restrictive. It's not comforting. It's pinning you down,
yeah,
and sometimes it needs two people who have that to open up to each other to bring that out of each other. And it's what happens with Percy. He becomes far more self confident, far more, self assured. He's willing to go out there, be himself, make his own decisions. Of course, in a movie like this, you have your ups and downs, and there's issues that come apart. He
yeah,
finds out that, Maddie was really kind of starting to speak to him because of this situation where she answered an advertisement for for his parents' car, and then he doesn't
yeah,
think it was actually real, and then she has to
yeah,
tell him that it was real, and whether he believes that or not, it's all an argument.
yeah,
These are typical story points of rom-coms anyway.
yeah,
It just, the fact it turns into such a sweet loving friendship between the two of them,
yeah.
I really found it very, very endearing. It's, I don't think it's necessarily a game-changing movie or anything like
No, but
that.
it's definitely a style of movie that we don't see anymore, really. Um, that was really popular at a certain era, like the late 90s, early 2000s, and then you go back to, like, the
Yeah,
80s having that era of the raunchy kind of sex comedy as well. So, um, it's a needed movie because, I talked
it
about it
is.
earlier where, we're oversaturated with the franchise film and the, uh, legacy sequel and, um the remake or the reboot. So to get an original movie that speaks to a different era film that feels kind of dead, and people talk about the rom-com being dead and things like that, and just a particular popular era film that was solid and did good business in terms of selling tickets, how that has just kind of died away. And so to go back to that formula and have a movie like this that feels very familiar to a really great genre of film, subgenre of film, um, is just really refreshing.
Yeah. I
Going
hope this
going
is
back to the past, it feels refreshing because we're getting
yeah,
so much of the
it's
same.
strange. It's
Yeah.
strange like that, but it does you are really right, and I really hope it does do well, so
Yeah.
financially and is successful, because I think it deserves it. It's a really, really good movie, a
Yeah.
really very enjoyable movie, and if nothing else, if you're a Jennifer Lawrence fan, you're going to enjoy it because she is her naturally goofy self in this movie, while being as wonderfully dramatic as we know she is, because
Yeah.
we've seen her do that enough
Yes.
times in her more critically acclaimed movies.
Yes. Well, I mean, I went to the early because most movies, at least here, have early Thursday screenings. So you can go. They'll have maybe like 5 or 6 show times for the Thursday before the movie comes out. So I went to a Thursday screening, and it was pretty full. It was full to the point where
Good.
some asshole stole my seat, and
Oh dear.
yeah, so I go to my seat and there's 2 guys sitting there and I'm like, I'm H11." They're like, "Oh, well," and they're all comfortable, have their feet up, have their thermoses all kinda laid out, like, ready, but picnic style. And I'm just like, so and I've just gone after work, so I'm already, like, exhausted. So I'm like, so I just, like, I'll just sit here for now. So I go to the row behind them, like, "Oh, well, if somebody comes, we'll move." So I'm just sitting in the row behind where my seat is, and then here comes this guy, "Oh, my wife and I are sitting here." And I'm like, "Oh, well, somebody's took my seat, so I had to sit here." So I said it kinda loud. So then I end up going and sitting next to the 2 guys and, like, a seat between us, and then they eventually, like, scooted over. So they saw me sitting there, and they were just like, "Oh, so then
Well,
they ended up scooting over and giving me my seat. So but it was
I'm
a
sorry,
pretty
but that's the point of assigned seats. Like, those two people
Exactly!
had seats themselves, so either they can't count.
Yeah. So it's not like they snuck into the movie, they had their own assigned seat, they just didn't feel like moving, I guess, but they were trying to be, like, cool about it, but they were like, "Oh, we'll move if somebody comes, haha," and I'm just like,
Was
"Whatever."
it the damn you're old, you're 23 guy from the movie?
I
I
mean,
think it was him.
it looked kinda like him.
I think it was him.
So they ultimately scooted over and I got my seat, so I was just like, "Whatever." But
Good.
yeah, it was a pretty full theater for not even, like, wide release day, for just, like, early
Yeah, good.
screening day, so,
Good.
yeah.
I like that. I like that. I very, very much enjoyed this movie.
Yes, I
I
had a
want
lot
to
of fun with this
go.
movie.
I'd much rather go to the cinema and watch these type of movies than the massive tentpole kind of movies that
Yes.
I am just at this point. I know we've still got more to come, haven't we? The summer
Yeah.
is not over yet, but
No, we
I
have some
am
huge
ready
ones.
now. I'm ready for November now.
Yes, because
Already in terms of
July is
movies,
yeah.
not in terms of the year, obviously, but I think in terms of movies, I am. And No Hard Feelings was really, really good.
Yes.
Helped, like I said, by the fact that I am and always have been a great admirer of
J-Law
Jennifer Lawrence.
stan, yes.
Um, Both from a acting standpoint, and I just think she's just very pretty.
Yeah.
I
She's a
do.
pretty lady. Yes.
She's a pretty lady, and she always has been.
Yes. Great
But there
movie.
you go.
Yeah, really
There you go.
enjoyable.
Great, great.